How's it going, everybody? Just want to do a quick breakdown of OSIR stock, OSIR Therapeutics Inc. from today, 11/10/2016. You can see the stock had a big jump at the end of the day, ended up jumping about 25% or so before it came down some into after hours. As everybody knows, the market's been rallying the last couple days since the election, especially biotechs. They've been flying, and healthcare stocks. And the reason most likely is that when Trump got elected, it shocked a lot of people. Biotechs were pretty beat down because Hillary Clinton had been talking about going after them for things like drug prices being too high and whatnot. So it kind of killed the biotechs, and when they're real beat down, you have a lot of long shorts that are in there, and so it's easily squeezable. So uh, now, Trump winning wasn't a shock to me at all. I expected it, and I thought he was going to win from the beginning. But a lot of people, they didn't expect it. They were absolutely shocked. So I'm guessing a lot of people were holding stocks, biotech short, into the election, thinking that Hillary was going to win, and it would hurt him even further. So that didn't happen, and it looks like OSIR has benefited some from the rally. But I wanted you guys to see something that's really shady about this stock. It's kind of a common big fish slash insider slash hedge fund scheme that I see in stocks on a regular basis. Now, all of a sudden, hedge fund volume is coming back into the market. And, hedge fund volume makes up for most of the shares traded every day. So when the hedge funds came back in, you can see that stocks are moving. There's a lot more volume, a lot more action. What's fishy about this stock is that if you look up here top left, you can see that it had this huge move, but it only traded 906,000 shares for the whole day, and that's really low, especially for a move like this. So I was looking at that. I thought that was a little fishy. And as you can see, the stock's already Nasdaq deficient up here. They're delinquent. They've been missing their regulatory filing deadlines, which is never a good sign. If you see that with a stock, they're just not taking care of business. So anyway, so what I noticed with this is it has a real low volume and had a big move. And if you look down here, if you look at the volume throughout the day, you can see it was pretty light throughout the day, but then you see a big green volume bar right here with about 100 and something thousand shares that were hit right here along, or as buys for the most part. And you can see that when it hit, nothing. The stock wasn't moving. Okay, now it was very conveniently about 1:30 p.m., which is getting close to 2 o'clock. When everyone's back from lunch. So a big number of shares, 100,000 shares, all of a sudden is getting bought up here. All right, and then conveniently, right after that, whoever took the big position, it looks like they started to probably lightly hit it here. You can see there was just light shares traded here from 200 shares, 100 shares, 200 shares, very light, but it made a huge move, but on light volume. And that conveniently happened right after everyone get back from lunch, which is usually when it's done, and right after this big green volume bar came in. So that's pretty fishy. And then even more fishy is once it got up and it blasted up here on a pretty steep peak, which when you see these steep peaks, there's a good chance it's going to correct because a lot of selling comes in on the peaks. People take profit, so they start selling, and then short sellers come in. They start selling short, and that causes downward pressure, and the stock starts to drop. So you can see it had a pretty big, some red candles here, had a pretty good drop at the end of the day. But conveniently, you can see that once that big buying came in, then it conveniently moved up on light volume, which could have been the same person. It could have been the same person, a big fish in the small pond that was causing this whole run. They load up big here, they trickle it up with some light buying and manipulate the price up, and they've already loaded a big amount of shares, and then boom, they sell them all here. And if you'll see, the selling here had a big volume bar here, 52,000 shares, and around 70,000 shares here selling. So it's about the same amount of shares that were loaded up here. So what it looks like to me is it looks like that somebody loaded up big here, manipulated the price up on light volume, sold all their shares into the retail buyers. So see what happens is the hedgies move it up, and then the retail buyers, the chasers, they'll come in and they see the move, so they start to jump on it. So then they jump on it and chase it, and they start buying up here, right when the hedge fund or the big fish is selling. So they move it up, they took their big position here, and then all of a sudden the retailers come in, they start selling all of the shares they bought down here to all the retail chasers who don't know what the heck is going on. They buy the top, they end up getting crushed, and boom, there comes the drop. Okay, and this is something I see all the time. This is on a regular basis, especially when the hedge fund volume starts coming back into the market. All right, then you can see that it had a little bounce off of that drop, and then it kind of crashed in after hours here. It dropped big there, big red candle. And then what else was fishy is I happened to be watching the after hours bid and asks on level 2, and I saw that right around 7:50, when the market closes after hours at 8 p.m., somebody, probably the same person or whoever it was, hit like 10 or 20 shares, 100 shares right at the close to pop it back up to the price where it was at the close. So I just wanted you guys to see this because it's just, to me, this is so clear, and it's pretty obvious that this is what's happening. Now, let's dig into this stock, OSIR, a little bit further and look at some other things. All right. Like I said, it's Nasdaq deficient, which is always a bad sign. You got to watch that because it means they're not taking care of business. They might not be. The stock price might not be where it needs to be. They might not be filing their 10Qs and 10Ks when they're supposed to be. It's just an indicator of a lot of problems. And obviously this company, they have been having trouble putting out the earnings. And if you look through here, if you put in the ticker and look through the news here in my streaming news, pull up here, you can see that OSIR Therapeutics jumps 20% after providing preliminary restated revenue figures and 2016 forecast. That's a little bit shady that they don't have revenues right. I think it goes back to like 2014. Let me look here. Yeah, they haven't reported 2014 revenue, 2015 revenue, and they still have to anticipate 2016 revenue. I mean, are you kidding me? You guys don't know what your revenue was 2 years ago? A year ago? You don't know what the revenue was? I mean, you got to be kidding me with this. It's just a joke. It's just really a joke. I mean, obviously the company has really poor management, and they really don't care too much about their shareholders, because if you're not reporting on time, then you're just putting your investors on the sidelines. People that are long your company and they're investing in it, and you don't have the decency to make sure that you put out your earnings at the right time. It's just a big red flag for any company. Yeah, so it just doesn't look pretty. And then let's look at a couple more things here. I was checking out. If you look at their SEC filings, okay, you run through here, and the last 10Q that was supposed to come out, NT non-timely, which means it's going to be submitted late, okay, and the date on this was 8/9/16, okay, so they were late here. Then you go back and non-timely, a 10Q. That 10Q is the quarterly, 10K is the annual, and you can see that it just goes back to where. Here's another non-timely. Just what kind of company are you running here? So that's just real suspect. I went through and looked at a few things. If you look at Zacks, look at some of the ratings. It's got value is rated a C. The growth is rated an F. You can't get any worse than an F. Momentum's a C. Another F here. If you look at the street, they got it rated a D plus sell, which is horrendous. It's terrible. So Zach's in the street, awful. And if you just Google a few things, I mean, this company put a lawsuit against OSIRIS, and apparently the company alleged exposed that OSIRIS released erroneous clinical data findings that give the wrong impression to the public consumer. So this is not just one thing. This company has a history of misleading investors, misleading the public. I mean, it's just it's terrible. And then if you go in here, here's a Seek and Alpha article I found. A Seek and Alpha article that I found, and this was November 9th, so this was yesterday. And I mean, this kind of tells it all right here. They're still restating 2014 financials and still working on releasing a 2015. The company's executive suite has featured a revolving cast of questionable and lightly experienced individuals. OSIRIS has been cited by the FDA for improper marketing practices, and it just goes on and on. You can see they're in oil exploration, gold prospecting, biotechnology. Um, this really cracked me up because they use the word scallywags, which I thought was pretty funny, and said a desirable ingredient in short-selling candidates. Yeah, this is a short-selling candidate, especially after the recent run it's had. It's definitely a short candidate because everything about this company is shady. Everything about this company is fishy, and the recent run is super fishy. So we think Osiris Therapeutics, Maryland-based traffickers and use is flailing and infested with vermin. So scallywag, vermin. Um, let's see what else we got here. March 15, 2016, the SEC subpoenas accounting records from OSIR. The day before the subpoena, the company announced that for the fiscal year 2014, in the first 9 months, one should probably not rely upon its previously filed reports. And look at this. The National Sales Director, Todd Clausen, is indicted for bribery, conspiracy to commit criminal conflicts of interest, and healthcare fraud. So their national sales director has basically been committing healthcare fraud allegedly. And he was actually indicted for the bribery. Um, Prior to joining, Mr. Clausen worked for Advanced Biohealing, where prosecutors alleged that he furnished illegal kickbacks to Veterans Administration podiatrists so they would procure ABH's wound healing products. Later that month, Clausen pled guilty to bribery in federal court. I mean, the list goes on, like I said. But yeah, no, I have a suggestion for this company. Actually, I think they should change their name to Scallywag Therapeutics. That's what I think they should do. And for any of you who don't know what a scallywag is, it's basically a cheat, a delinquent, a fraud, a hooligan, a liar, a prankster, a rogue, scoundrel, shyster. That's basically what this company appears to be. Just all together, just overall, just a big cheat, just a big fraud. And I just have a feeling that they're involved. I have a feeling the execs of the company or their friends, somebody within this company is involved in this recent move in this stock. I would bet on that. All right, so yeah, so going back to look at the chart. Obviously, we know. I mean, the stock's run in the last 5 days. It's running from $4.20 up to about $7. So it's due for correction anyway. It's a real low float. Obviously, it's about 30 million float, so we know it can move fast. So it can move up fast. It can also drop just as fast. If you look at previous the historical chart, looking for previous resistance, you can see that right here, $7. Yeah, it's about $7 right there. That's on the 1-year chart. There's pretty strong resistance here, all through this area right here. You can see right here, that's all the 7 area, 7 area. That's pretty strong resistance right there. Just just on the chart alone. So the fact that it's run up so big, it's got that 7 resistance. It held 7 after at the end of the day, and after hours it fell. It dropped off of it down to like what was it? It fell down to 610 after hours before they manipulated it back up with some light buying and put it back up at 664. But you can see that the big fish that was in this is probably unloaded to the retail traders right here, and they're probably out. And if anything else, they may have shorted up here at the top, and they're probably going to be trying to control the downside on this from here. So if you're long on this, take your profit. Always take that green when it's there before it turns into red. I definitely recommend that. And look for the short play in this thing, because there's a good chance this has a nice correction. Okay, if you have any questions about the stock, shoot me an email at bprising1@gmail.com. And feel free to join our team if you're interested. I give stock alerts and I teach about my strategies, buying short and going long. And just let me know if you have any questions. And until the next video, I appreciate it. You guys watching. Have a great one.